Back, as we've just been reporting, Nigeria is divided roughly in half between Christians who live mostly in the southern and central parts of the country and Muslims concentrated mostly in the northern and southwestern regions. Economic imbalance and sectarian violence are among the most prominent challenges for the country. Joining us again from Boston is attorney and media commentator Aminu Gamawa. And in the studio we have Nia Kwete. He is a member of Trans-Africa Forum's Scholars Council. Aminu, let me start with you this time. When we look at the north, predominantly Muslim, that is where we find the Boko Haram insurgency. How big a role is that insurgency playing in how people will be voting in this election?
Well, I agree that Nigeria has a population of Muslims and Christians who the Muslims happen to be the majority in the north and the Christians happen to be majority in the south. But I don't think this election is about Muslims and Christians or north and south. I think it is about the future of Nigeria. It is about democracy. If you look at the voters across the country, both parties have supporters in the two regions, in the north and in the south. And in as much as the ruling party has tried to make the election about the north and south or about Muslims and Christians, I think Nigerians understand and see beyond those sentiments. I think it is about the economy, it is about the insecurity, it is about the unemployment, it is about corruption, it is about human rights and rule of law. And I think these are the main issues that would determine the election. Yes, religion may play a role and ethnicity, but I think we shouldn't overemphasize that. As far as the insecurity in the Northeast is concerned, I think it has so many root causes, but the most important one is the high poverty rate, high illiteracy rate, high unemployment rate in the North, and particularly in the Northeast, where the Boko Haram insurgency has been on for quite a while now. Majority of the voters in the North reject the current ruling party and Goodluck Jonathan, not because he is Christian or not because he is from the South, but rather because of the way he mismanaged and he mishandled the insurgency. We've all know that both reports from international organizations and independent observers shows that the Nigerian government could have done better in its handling of the situation in the Northeast. So whoever emerges as the next president would have to deal with the challenge of Boko Haram, and he would have to address the root causes, not only defeat them militarily, but address the social, the economic, and the political roots of the problem.
Goodluck Jonathan has widely seen to have failed to take on the militants in the north, to stop the insurgency there. And in fact, we're hearing reports right now that South African mercenaries are being used. These are allegations that are being made that South African mercenaries are in the north and they've taken on Boko Haram. With some success, they've pushed them back to a certain extent. But when we look at what Boko Haram has done and the fact that the government has not been able to successfully push them back, what does that do for people in the north when they go to the ballot box?
I think that's a great question. By the way, I'm flattered to be on the program, this program with Aminu, because I think he's somebody who's got very good analysis. But there are a couple of things we have said on this program where I see it differently from him. But in terms of Jonathan's handling of Boko Haram, in fact, he himself said maybe 3 weeks ago that, you know what, yes, we should have taken them more seriously. We didn't, and so there's no question about that. But I do think there is an international role in this because Boko Haram is seen as an Islamic insurgency. Boko Haram operators were seen in Mali about 3 years ago. We have Libya. We have what is going on with ISIS. So the U.S. has been interested. And part of my focus has been that Washington actually, for the first 4 or 5 years since 2009, when Boko Haram became violent, the whole analysis and the pressure on Nigeria was, no, you need to talk to them. These are not terrorists. They have grievances. So it wasn't Jonathan only who said that we shouldn't fight them. Now, you mentioned, I think it's great to mention these reported mercenaries who have been there since January. And you can see that in the 6 weeks since the elections were postponed, they have turned, the Nigerian military has turned the fight around so that right now Boko Haram is on the run. So I think the issue of how Boko Haram has been handled needs to be looked at carefully. And one other thing, as I said, I have great admiration for Aminu, but we do disagree. I take exception to the argument that insurgencies like we have with Boko Haram are the result of poverty. Not that there is no poverty, there is poverty. But poverty is not in just the Northeast. And Boko Haram is not fighting for poor Northeastern Nigerians. Actually, it's killing them. Boko Haram is doing what it's doing to destabilize the country, not because of underdevelopment or any of those things, because if that was the case, they would have been, Nigeria became independent in 1960. They've been, for all that time, over 50 years, we didn't see Boko Haram rising up, and all those times there was poverty and corruption as well. So I think that the issue of who they are, why they rose up, and how they should become is a complicated issue that has to be delved into.
Aminu, you want to respond to that?
Well, all I would say is I also have the same respect for Ni Akwete and his take on issues. And I think our position, we may differ on the point of emphasis, but I think we all agree that, yes, there is a religious reasons for what Boko Haram is doing, and definitely the neighboring countries of Chad, Cameroon, and Niger should have intervened and helped much earlier than they did. And of course, the international community also had a role to play in stopping Boko Haram, which it didn't. But I would like to say that, yes, definitely Boko Haram claim to be Muslims, even though they are killing Muslims in northern Nigeria, and they are a terrorist group that has link with other terrorist groups in the Sahel area. But I still believe that the massive unemployment, the massive corruption in governance, the illiteracy in the northeast and in the north, which actually happened as a result of poor governance and lack of good leadership, I believe contributed towards the emergence of Boko Haram. If people are educated, if they have good education, if they have good jobs and good employment, they wouldn't go the Boko Haram way. And if we look at the history of how it started, I think one of the reasons that contributed to the escalation of the problem was the way it was mismanaged and mishandled by the Jonathan's administration. Jonathan has been in power for 5 years, and the security of Nigerians and their properties is the responsibility of the Nigerian government. We don't have to go to South Africa to get mercenaries to fight the insurgents. I think Nigeria has an army that has done well in other countries, but as a result of corruption, as a result of effort to deliberately cripple them by the civilian government so as to prevent them from carrying out a military coup, that has contributed towards the current problem we have. I don't want to blame everything on Jonathan. I think that will be unfair, but you cannot discuss this problem without mentioning that Jonathan has been in power for 5 years, and the Boko Haram problem actually became what it is today under his watch. I think he could have done better, and that is the reason why the people in the north and even across the country feel like he has failed as a leader for failing to protect the lives and properties of the people in the Northeast. I am personally affected by the violence there, and I can tell you that people are not happy. They feel like the government should have done more. Right. They feel like corruption and has contributed to the degeneration of the security situation in the Northeast.
Okay. May I have a quick bite?
Yeah, sure.
Yes, I think he's right, of course, and I'm not denying that Jonathan is blameless, but all the problems that he has mentioned were there before Jonathan was came into the presidency. Right. I was even telling a friend who told me, a good friend from Nigeria, southeastern Nigeria, here in Washington, said we need to vote Jonathan out because of corruption. And I said, you know, I'm from Ghana, but I lived in Nigeria for 3 years, and I have a soft spot for the country and for the rest of Africa, and I think there were instances of corruption in Nigeria before Jonathan came there, and Boko Haram came out as an organization in 2003, way before Jonathan. And then one question we have to ask is, why did they become violent under Jonathan and not before under Obasanjo or Yaradua?
Right, okay, Ni, on the positive side for people like Jonathan going into this election, the plus side, if I could put it that way. He has been president or presided over Africa's fastest growing economy.
Yes.
As we just reported earlier
Yes.
on, it's overtaken South Africa as the continent's biggest
Right.
economy. The middle class in Nigeria has grown by 600% over the last 14 years.
Yes.
One would imagine this election, on those figures, just alone on those figures, would be no contest.
I am so glad that you mentioned that, because I had made up my mind that I should mention that, and I forgot. Yes, I think he should get credit for that. It was under him that the economy overtook South Africa, and it's been growing somewhere around 6 and 7% under him, and we must not forget, it was on his watch. I'm not giving him the total credit, and Aminu is right that we shouldn't put everything to blame on him, but so I won't give him the total credit for Ebola either. But Nigeria did a fantastic job of preventing Ebola from taking root, and and he should get some credit. And Jonathan has done a number of improving the infrastructure. But let me say, I agree with Aminu, because at the end of the day, it is not what I think or what I analyze, it is what the majority of Nigerians want. And I like saying that even when Churchill led the British to beat Hitler, British voters decided they were sick of him and they threw him out. Nigerians have the right to do exactly the same thing.